right, we are recording. Today I'm with Alejandra Hernandez, Marine veteran and part of the Road Home program at Rush. Um, Ali, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and show us what you're drinking today. Show us that sweatshirt.
Yeah, most definitely. So, hello, my name's Alejandra Hernandez. A lot of people call me Ale or Ali. I was in the Marine Corps, and this is my Rush University Medical Center hoodie. We are part of the Wounded Warrior Care Network. We got a little flag over here on the side, and on the back, it's got a seal. So it's a pretty nice, warm, comfy hoodie, and I figured it'd be fitting for this interview. And then
Perfect.
Thank you. And then I'm drinking out of my 4th Battalion mug because I was in the military. I mean, the Marine Corps, obviously
Yeah.
military. But what I was gonna say is that that 4th Battalion is not all female. And now it's like co-ed. So I just like to drink out of some good old coffee from Mexico out of this mug. It kind of reminds me of just some good times. A little mix of the military and my personal life here in this mug, I would say.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you just you schooled me on the 4th Battalion and what that's all about. I had no idea that that was an all-female battalion in the Marine Corps. Now it's all integrated, so um, that's pretty cool. When I was in the Navy, it was I was in a submarine and it was all male. There were no women on subs. And shortly after I got out of the military in 2012, eventually they started bringing women on board submarines, and I think they had all women submarines as well. And eventually, they should be integrated now. I don't know the update on that. I should have looked that up, but that's been part of the I guess part of the developments in the Navy because I think the submarine force is probably one of the last forces to integrate in the at least in the Navy right now.
Got it. You always
So
learn something new.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so for me today, I've got my cat dad mug because that's you can see one of my cats behind me, and I'm sporting my Cleveland Cavaliers sweatshirt. Uh, Go Cavs! Hopefully they can do something in the playoffs this year. We'll see.
Are you from Cleveland?
Yeah, yeah, from Cleveland. Spent most of my life there, and then just moved to the Chicago area with my wife Erica, who's from Lombard, Illinois. So we moved out here to be closer to her family, and to progress in both of our careers. So that's what brought us out here.
Nice. Well, welcome.
Thank you very much. And so tell me a little bit about your background before the military. What made you decide to join the Marine Corps?
Yeah, so I was born in Aurora, Illinois. My mom and dad are both from Uruapan, Michoacan,
Mm,
and they came here to give me a better life and for themselves to have a better life. So my dad was the first one to come over this way, and then eventually my mom did. Um, Interesting thing about that was that I was actually in my mom's womb when she crossed the Rio Grande, I think it's what it's called, right?
okay,
That river that borders Mexico and the United States.
okay,
So I don't know. I just feel like my parents sacrificed so much for me from the very beginning, right?
yeah,
Um, and then I grew up here in Illinois. I was born and raised in Illinois in Aurora, West Side. I went to West Aurora High School. And during my time when I was in high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew that like art was something that caught my attention, something that I really like to do. Music has always caught my attention as well, but I wanted to do something big. And I really wasn't sure what that was going to be. But after like talking to my stepdad and bouncing some ideas around and getting some guidance from him, I decided like that I should try to pursue the military. At first I had actually applied for the Navy, but I
okay.
didn't really have a high enough ASVAB score, so I went
Oh,
ahead and just pursued the Marine Corps because I don't know. There's something about the uniform definitely that caught my attention. I thought
It
the
is a
dress,
cool uniform.
yeah, the dress blues are super cool. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I was just like, well, let me give the Marine Corps a try if the Navy is not going to be a good fit for me at this moment because of scores. Um, so that's what I did. I went to the recruiter's office and little did I know I was gonna enlist, and I shipped out in November of 2005
Wow.
and served four
Yeah.
years.
That was a heck of a time to ship out to the Marine Corps as well. So
Yeah.
definitely appreciate your service and making that time sacrifice. That's ASVAB scores. It's crazy. They mean nothing. I meet so many smart people that didn't do well in the ASVAB, and I meet so many people that did extremely well in the ASVAB, and I just don't know how. I don't know how
Yeah.
they did. So it's it's one of those things, but certainly appreciate you sharing that. And so what did you do while you were in the military?
I was a cook. I was with two different bases. I first started off at Camp Lejeune.
Yeah.
I was non-deployable, and I was there for like, I want to say almost a year.
Okay.
And then my command was like, we're going to send you to a deployable unit. And I was like, oh, okay. They sent me down the street to the wing unit. So I ended up going to Marine Corps Air Station New River, and I stayed there for the rest of the time. Um, I was with Marine Wing Support Squadron 272,
Okay.
and I did one deployment with them. It was during the years of like '07 and '08 where we did a 7-month deployment. And that was pretty interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gone from home, and your folks are definitely worried. I know my mom was. They just want you to come back in one piece, and navigating also like relationships and stuff like that. It was just like really difficult because you miss out on a lot.
That's right.
And then on top of it, whatever's happening there while you're currently overseas in that particular area in that particular time. I mean, it was just like a really long war, and I've heard like so many experiences, and honestly, it's pretty amazing, like the stuff that veterans have to endure and then still try their best to navigate like day-to-day challenges.
Yeah, I can't even imagine being in theater out there in Iraq or Afghanistan, what that must have been like. It was very different for me. I was inside of a steel tube with a bunch of guys, and we all had different types of stress, I guess, sleep deprivation, which we all deal with in the military, and a few other things that we were deprived of. We didn't get any sunlight for periods of time. We didn't get any oxygen for periods of time. Um, but one thing that we didn't have to worry about were IEDs. We didn't have to worry about insurgents. We didn't have to worry about any type of ambushes or anything like that. We just had to make sure that we trusted one another to do our jobs, and that's how we had to be able to go to sleep at night, knowing that everybody's standing their watch, everybody's doing their job when they need to be, and everybody's well trained to do it. So different level of stress, but I can't imagine adding those extra elements to that time in the service. So um, definitely appreciate you sharing that. And I guess when you think about what you did while you were in the military, how did that translate for you when you got out? And I guess what have you been doing from that moment that you got out of the military to now?
Well, while I was in, I want to mention something
Oh yeah, please do.
that I didn't and I forgot. I was harassed when I was in, and so it's really disheartening that it's something that's still occurring,
Yeah.
because yet, we just found out like not too long ago. I don't know if you knew, but there was a soldier that was found dead in Fort Hood. So it's just not right. And it sucks even more when it's like somebody that was born in the home state that your parents were. She's from Michoacan as well. That's where my parents are from. And when I found out that she's a fellow Michoacano, I was like, geez, like Michoacana actually. I was just like, geez, like, that's just not good. Like, I mean, it's already bad enough that like the whole situation, but I just wanted to bring light to that it is something that's still happening and it happens more often than you think. And it
Mm.
also happens to men. So every, no one, no one is, it feels like no one can get away from that. Like it's like something that is definitely a big social issue. But I just wanted to bring some attention to that. But to answer your
Yeah.
question, what I ended up doing after the service was that I really took some time to figure out what I wanted to study. And I met some really cool professors here at the community college that I attended. It's called Wabanzi Community College.
Yeah.
And those professors really helped me with discovering sociology. It's
Yeah.
something that has definitely helped me a lot as far as like understanding people and how complex like social issues are. But that's been like a really good like starting point for me. And then I ended up going to UIC and getting my undergrad there for sociology. So I met a lot of really cool people there, a lot of really also cool professors, a good support system there, and a lot of fellow veterans there as well that I met. And all those things I feel like helped and shaped me to where I'm at today at the road home because I really grew interest in wanting to know like why are veterans marginalized and like why do we have to fight for our benefits and just like all these complicated things that you wouldn't think would happen to a veteran.
Yeah.
So it just really led me down this rabbit hole of like helping people. And now I'm just like focusing on mental health at the Road Home program.
That's great. And thank you for sharing that about the harassment and the challenges that obviously we still need to fix in the military. Um, I can only imagine what has gone on, and I know that just from people I knew while I was in the military, men as well, um, being being mistreated in countless ways. This is obviously still a problem that needs to be focused on and addressed, and we need to get on it right away. You serve with people from all over the country, from different walks of life, um, so many differences across the board, but that commonality is we're all supposed to be in it together to take care of one another, make sure that we're all working towards accomplishing the same mission and the same goals, and we can't have anything tearing that down. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, for sure.
And when it comes to the support that it sounds like you got when you got out of the military, especially through academia, being able to to connect with other veterans and students and to be able to have some good professors to work with. Sounds like that was a slam dunk for you. It sounds like it was a really good fit to be able to get that education and be where you are today.
Definitely, because I don't think if I would have had like those stepping stones, that I don't think I would have been where I'm at right now. It probably would have been a lot more difficult road because
Yeah.
the military does offer some really excellent benefits, but at the very high, it's a very high price. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and you mentioned as well, like the difficulty of getting some of those benefits and some of the things that are due to us veterans. It can be a challenge, and I I I mean, speaking personally, it wasn't. I mean, at the time, it was probably a little bit more difficult for me, but thinking back on it, hearing the other stories that I've heard from people trying to get benefits, it can be a nightmare. I think I'm thankful that I had a relatively easy situation uh, with my disability claim, but not everybody does, and that definitely needs a lot of help and support moving through. I've got a buddy of mine right now who's going through a really hard time and needs support from the VA, and he's got he's got no money to take care of himself right now, and he just needs the VA to give him the support he needs to be able to make it. So
Yeah.
he's been fighting that. Um, when it comes to the organization that you're in now,
Yes.
if you could talk more about that, what you've been working, the organization you've been working in, and how that is helping.
Yeah, definitely. So I work at the Road Home program. We're located in Chicago. I've been there for almost a year. So what we do is that, well, I'm an outreach coordinator. And so what I do is that I go out to the community here locally, but I'm also assigned particular states and regions to go do outreach at. And what our program consists of is a 2-week intensive outpatient program. And we remove the barriers to care for the veteran so they can come and get some help. The
Great.
reason it's 2 week is because we offer CPT twice a day.
Okay, what is CPT? You mentioned that.
Yes.
Yeah, if you could, obviously, I don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, definitely want to know more about that too.
Yeah, so cognitive processing therapy, it's a modality that's based evidence treatment. And usually for someone to start to see some results, you got to do that for like about 6 months or so.
Okay,
Um, and what we're doing is taking like those 6 months of and compressing it into those 2 weeks by offering it 2 times a day. But along with that, we offer the mindfulness portion that really helps a lot. I practice a lot of mindfulness myself because it just helps me stay grounded and just realize like, hey, like it's okay. Like take a moment, take a breath, and
that's
like
so hard to do. That's so hard to do, Allie. That's a practice in and of itself.
it's a lot of patience. It's something that I have. So
That's
I've been
wonderful.
told. But yeah, it is very difficult, but it's something that is definitely worth having in your toolbox because
Yeah,
when you're starting to feel really anxious or having negative thoughts, it's something that you can definitely pull out and be like, oh, okay, so like remember mindfulness. All right, so how can we go about that?
right.
Yeah. Also yoga. They get to do yoga while they're here with us. So
It's wonderful.
uh, definitely there's like 16 sessions of individual CPT, and then they get to do like about 9 sessions of the mindfulness and yoga. But then we also offer art therapy. A lot of the veterans are kind of hesitant when it comes to doing that because it's something new and they feel like, oh man, maybe I don't have those creative juices or like creative ways of like expressing myself. But you'd be surprised if you give it a try, what you would actually put out and like the results of that. And then we do have an awesome
It's cool.
chaplain on staff. Thank you. Yeah, we have a chaplain on staff. He does a lot of spiritual care for the veterans. He also deals with moral injury, which I think is something that's really common that a lot of veterans struggle with and isn't really talked about as often. And then acupuncture. So we do have someone here on staff that does that. And I think that's like every other day or every day. And then also DBT skills coaching, CBT and MI for substance use.
Okay.
But these are all as needed. But definitely they do receive that acupuncture, that spiritual care, and that art therapy.
And what is DBT?
DBT, it's a it's a reduced distractions from trauma.
Okay.
It's focused on work, so I don't know too much about that, but that's the primary thing that it is. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. It's interesting. You mentioned art therapy, and I've certainly experienced some heightened stress and anxiety over the last couple of years with changing careers. It's anytime you're going through change and you're feeling discomfort because your body and your mind are doing something new, that can certainly bring on anxiety, and so many things from the past obviously can as well. Um, but I just remember recently being at a restaurant and was with the family with my son, and he got the kids menu at the restaurant. It had a little coloring section on one of the sides of the menu, and we got a bunch of crayons. He didn't want to mess with it. He was playing with his phone. He was enjoying himself. But I grabbed those crayons and I started coloring in on that color side, and staying in between the lines, focused on just making it as neat as I possibly could. I wasn't thinking about anything else. I was just thinking about making a beautiful, colorful work of art on a kid's menu. That's all I could focus on for about 15 minutes, and it was wonderful. It just took me away from everything else I was thinking about.
Yeah, that's good. I That kind of reminds me of those these like workbooks that you can like draw into.
Yeah,
But they have like a lot, what are they have like different patterns and such. Yeah, those are really cool because like you're saying, it's just like a good creative outlook, like way to like release whatever it is that you might be have kind of pent up, or
sure.
things that you probably thought you forgot but are still there. Yeah, I mean, it's just an awesome way to like release some stress, really.
Yeah, I feel that, and I think also just bringing you into that moment that you
Yeah,
mentioned, mindfulness, and that's again, that's something you have to practice. Patience is something you have to practice. Those are both muscles that we have to develop. You think about going to the gym and lifting weights and gradually increasing your strength. Well, like mindfulness and patience, that's the same thing. It's just a mental muscle that you have to focus on increasing and getting better. It's not something that you're necessarily born with all the time. Some people maybe have more of it than others, but you can always grow it. You can always make it a stronger part of your life, to have the ability to find patience and find the moment. That's to me, that's my biggest challenge is try not to be thinking about the past or the future too often. Try to bring myself to right now,
yeah,
and that's I think the biggest thing I got from that. So
agreed.
sounds like tons of great resources there, and so you're able to help people locally and all over the country. You mentioned that you fly veterans in.
Hmm.
Um, how do they qualify for something like that? And do they have to foot the bill? How do they get the resources for those that don't have it?
Yeah, so we do have like an inclusion and exclusion criteria. If the veteran has stable housing is one of those. Also, if they struggle with some substance abuse, as long as they already got like another level of care before coming to us, then they would be accepted into the program. So they would have to like take care of that, whatever that substance use abuse that they're struggling with at an intake, and then they could come to us for the intensive outpatient program.
Got it.
And then Wounded Warrior, we're part of the Wounded Warrior Care Network, Wounded Warrior Project, and they're our biggest funders, so they're the ones that pick up that tab. However,
Got it.
we do, so, but the thing is, like, we'll accept anybody that has like insurance, obviously, but you won't be billed. You won't be billed because the since we're part of the Wounded Warrior Care Network, they're the ones that are picking up that tab.
Got it.
So, so we try to reduce the barriers by we pay for the cost of everything, their flight, where they're staying at, their food, so they don't have to worry about anything. And then, if they have like a mortgage and a family and they're struggling and want to come and get care, we'll help them out with all those things as well.
Wow. Wow. So even during that time frame that they're in this therapy program, they're able to get the cash flow needs that they need to cover everything else.
Yes. Yeah, like if
That's
they're
amazing. That
mhm.
that is huge. And what about other are there other partners that you work with across the country that do similar treatments? I guess I'm thinking like if there was somebody in Texas that wanted this type of help and there was a facility like yours in Texas, would you connect them with the right people there, or do you still bring them out all the way to Chicago?
It depends on what the veteran needs. So we focus on PTSD and MST, but there
Got it.
are other hospitals in the Wounded Warrior Care Network. There's Boston. There's Emory, which is down in Georgia, and then UCLA. That's UCLA Health, Operation Mend. They're over in Los Angeles. So it just depends on what the veteran needs.
Got it.
But but a lot of those hospitals do have their specialties.
Certainly. That's great that you have the ability to, through that program, work with them properly, figure out where they need to go, what who can best help them, and then the resources to be able to get them there, to get them that
Yeah,
treatment. That's wonderful.
yeah, definitely. Because like I said, we one of the things that we all want to do in the Warrior Care Network is to try to reduce a lot of those barriers. And it is important because every need of the veteran is very unique because they've all had different experiences and need different types of healing. And there's different modalities to healing as well. Something I wanted to mention. I do a lot of recreational therapy myself, and I feel like veterans don't know about a lot of these awesome programs that are out there, but that's what we're here for. We can point them in the right direction if they're looking for any resources. And before they leave our care here at the Road Home program, we give them the information digitally and also physically so that way they have those resources. And we also make ourselves, available so they could come and approach us and talk to us or ask us questions about them.
That's wonderful. Yeah, sometimes when you're in trouble or, mentally just completely bogged down with challenges, you can't even see straight. You don't even know which direction is up,
Mm-hmm.
and you just need to talk to somebody. You just need to call somebody and maybe just have a conversation. And then through that conversation, you might learn from somebody like your organization. You might learn what resources there might be out there to help you, just by opening up a little bit. You don't necessarily need to know exactly who to call, because it sounds like if you call the road home, you're going to get some kind of direction, and
Mm-hmm.
your organization is going to be able to point people in that way. So that's wonderful. What about, I guess, what does the future look like? This is a two-part question. What does the future look like for you, for your career? Where are you hoping to go, and what does it look like for the organization?
Well, for me, I do want to go back to school. I'm just not really sure what I want to study at this moment because I'm going back and forth on a couple of different ideas. And the one that I'm really stuck on right now is like recreational therapy.
Yeah,
So that would just mean going back to school and getting a bachelor's focused in science, I believe. And so, um, but I would like to stay with the Road Home program for a while, as long
yeah,
as I can. I feel like I have something to bring to the table as far as like my background and my experience, as far as being able to reach out to the veterans and relating to them. Um, but as far as like the Road Home program and like the long term, we do have like a 3-year plan. We eventually are going to be reaching out and doing a lot of outreach to active duty bases and focusing in on different groups of veterans. So that's what we're hoping to accomplish there with the Road Home.
that's awesome. It sounds like it's very aligned with your future and your career goals. It sounds like can get that advanced degree in recreational therapy and be able to continue to support that mission with the road home. And very cool initiatives coming soon then within those bases. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And anything else you can think of, anything that I forgot to ask you about, or anything that you want to make sure we talk about today?
Um, no, I don't think I have any saved rounds.
That's all right. That's wonderful. Of course, cool thing about this program in the future, I want you to be able to reach out to me at any time. If you say, "Hey, Nick, I got something I want to share. There's an update." Please do, because we can do that for sure. So don't feel like you needed to say everything in this one conversation. Um, the one last question I have for you before we wrap up, if you could go back in time
Okay.
to a younger version of yourself,
Mm,
uh,
mhm.
and to give yourself some advice, what time frame would you go to, and what advice would you give yourself?
I would go back to when I was a junior in high school and just tell myself to love myself some more and be gentler with myself, that the future is going to be very, very bright, and don't get so don't get so upset and worked up with what's happening in that moment back then, because it's all going to get better. And I would tell myself that now also. I mean, I continue to tell myself that now, just to be more present and to love myself. Yeah,
That's a great message. I think we all need to go back to a former self and tell ourselves to love ourselves more, don't we? I mean,
definitely.
that would be super helpful. So I mean, it's a good reminder for us all today.
Yeah,
No matter where we are, no matter how well we're doing in our spiritual and our mindfulness, those areas of our lives, I think we should just constantly remember that we need to love ourselves and we need to appreciate those around us.
definitely.
So, well, Allie, thank you so much for taking the time with me today.
Yep.
I'm gonna post in the notes on LinkedIn. I'll make sure there's links to the program you're a part of, and of course, please connect with Allie if you resonate with her story. If you have questions for her, she is on LinkedIn. She will be in the post as well. So. Uh, I hope you guys all have a great weekend and look forward to sharing some more.
All right. Thank you so much, Nick. I appreciate it.
Take care, Allie.
You too.